Hi, I'm Raya.
And I'm Shannon.
And we are the Book Heroes.
We are here to share our love of great stories that we are reading right now.
Today we are going to talk about Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky by Kwame Mbalia.
Mbalia. Love it.
All right, so this is a story of a kid named Tristan, obviously. He comes from a family of boxers, but he's not really all that great or very confident in boxing. And he's having a hard time living up to his father's and his grandfather's expectations in boxing. He has a best friend that has recently died, and he feels a lot of guilt associated with that friend's death. And his friend left him this journal. And in this journal, they were collecting stories of African-American legends and myths for a school project. And so Tristan just carries this journal around with him everywhere he goes. He doesn't really ever open it and read anything out of it. It's just kind of there with him. But these stories feature characters like John Henry, Brer Rabbit, Brer Fox, Gum Baby, and even Anansi. So one night while Tristan is visiting his grandparents in Alabama, he's woken up in the middle of the night by Gum Baby, who is in his room trying to steal the journal. And so Tristan ends up following her into the forest. He ends up punching a hole in a tree, trying to follow her into her world, and ends up tearing a hole in their sky, thus releasing all sorts of monsters and creatures that are coming after the people that live in this land called Alki. So this begins a journey to help save these people and to discover his own superpower, which is storytelling. So, Shannon, what did you like about this book?
I have to say one of my all-time faves was the character of Gum Baby.
Yes.
She was fab. She was fab. Sass
Gum
of
Baby
fab.
is
I
the
mean,
best.
she is so sassy, and she just tells it like it is. And she's a little thief on top of it. I mean, she talks some smack. I mean, to everybody. It didn't matter who we were talking to. She was talking smack. I think the only people she didn't talk smack to was John Henry, and she would talk smack to him. And he was like the big man. He was the big man. So I loved Gum Baby. Gum Baby!
Yes. What else did you like?
I also liked that how the author Kwame Mbalia, right? That's how you say his name, Mbalia, whatever.
Yeah.
He uses the myths that we're familiar with, such as the Brer Rabbit, Brer Fox, John Henry. I mean, we might not have heard these in a while, but we're still pretty familiar with them. So I really thought that was fun. And then I really like the descriptive way that he writes. He gives the character of Tristan that real kind of teenager-y kind of attitude and angst, and he really creates a very vivid personality for Gum Baby. You know exactly what she's going to be Miss Sassafras from the word go, and you get it, and
you can hear her voice in your head when you're reading it.
Yes, and she is just sassy as all get out, and I like that he talks in his head. Tristan talks in his head, and some of the stuff he says is very typical of boys his age. You know, it's very sassy and like, oh, whatever. You know, he has quick comebacks that he never says, but they're hysterical nonetheless because you hear them as you read them. And so then, because he really gets into it with Gum Baby a lot, and that's what cracks me up is the two of them, because she's about this tall, and you know, and he's a teenager, and she talks to him like he is like an ant. I mean, it's ridiculous.
She
so
calls
funny.
him Bumble Tongue all the time because
my
sometimes he
God.
kind of
He
doesn't
can't
know what to say,
he
and he's like,
say.
"Ah!"
Yeah.
And so she calls him Bumble Tongue. That's kind of my favorite.
Yes. Okay. What did you enjoy about the story?
I loved Gum Baby as well. I also love that Tristan's superpower almost is that he's a storyteller. I think that's a really beautiful thing. For this young boy who comes from this family of like strong boxers and things to be a storyteller, and he does such a wonderful job at telling these stories. And the author Kwame Mbalia, he does a great job of describing like how the story is told physically as well as the story itself, and so the things that are happening just gives really, really good visuals. I also really like that he took these old stories and put them into kind of a modern time. And I can't tell you too much more about what that means, but if you read the book and you get to the end, you'll see what I'm talking about. Yeah. And I also love Anansi. He's a trickster the whole time.
Uh-huh.
The whole time. So yeah, you think every time you think that he might be a little bit redeemable throughout the story, he's just not. He's just not. He's horrible.
He's got a worse attitude than Gum Baby.
Oh, yeah.
I would say his attitude is so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's just so ugly and hateful and just like, you know, totally annoying. You just love to dislike him. I wouldn't say hate. Hate's a strong word. You just really dislike him because you're like, are you for real right now, dude? I mean, come on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and you know what? One thing too is, as I was thinking about this and rereading this book for us to have this conversation, one of the things that I remembered was you had told me about. He was on YouTube, not YouTube, but he was on the North Texas Teen Festival, book festival thing. And I watched his video of him, the one that he was in. He is super funny. The author is super funny.
I mean, listening to him talk, I just want to be his best friend.
It totally, 100%, totally changed my whole belief. And, you know, when I heard Gum Baby again, I was like, totally different vision in my head about what she was like and all this, just because of him, because he's so funny. He's got such a great kind of tongue-in-cheek, kind of dry sense of humor. You know, kind of, you know, he slides that one by you. So, but I think we found a video too, right?
Yes. So there's a video on YouTube. I'll put the link below of Rick Riordan, who wrote The Lightning Thief and all the Percy Jackson series, and Kwame Mbalia, and they talk about Tristan Strong punches a hole in the sky. So
maybe they talk about Gum Babies.
Maybe they, maybe they do. You'll have to watch and find out. All right. So we hope you enjoyed this segment of Book Heroes. You can find this book at your library or your favorite bookseller. So be a book hero and go out and save this book.